You interested in coaching?
You know what? It's just one of those things where over the years I've only picked it up like, I don't know, 2 years ago, I think, 3 years ago.
Hmm.
Got super into it. Just mainly something to do with friends, and then my competitive side started to take over, and I started to get in really kind of competitive with it and really like playing the different roles. And then recently took a little bit of a break and came back into it watching different videos and kind of just looking through some of your coaching videos mainly.
Hmm.
And it's just kind of one of those things where I'm extremely curious and I always kind of want to see where I can improve and get better. And I feel like it's probably a good idea if somebody else can take a look at it and say, hey, look, dumbass, you need to be here, not here. And
Yeah.
here's why.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Fair enough. Fair enough. I guess we'll take it a look then.
yeah, absolutely.
Sounds like Kiriko is your main,
Yeah.
and Matt Bap and more depending on the situation.
Yeah. Yeah,
All
those
right.
are usually the ones I go with more often than not.
Okay.
I'm comfortable with them. I like to play around with the different players, but those are
Okay.
usually what I go with.
Yeah. Fair enough. So you've been playing for a couple of years and kind of leaned more into support. Now, has that always been the case, or has that kind of changed over time? And if not, then what particularly about support really appealed to you?
It was it kind of started out with, hey, it's so I can get used to things. It's like, when I first started playing, it was, hey, keep your team alive, and got into that. I really liked Lucio. Played a lot of him, learned some BAP. I liked playing Moira. And then Kiriko came out, and she's a really fun character, and just kind of stuck with that. I mean, I played DPS more for fun. I really enjoy tank. Got into that for a little while, and I'd like to get better at that as well. But support's just always been interesting to me, and keeping other people alive. So.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. And why Kiriko out of all the support specifically?
I really like her mobility. I like that she's still got some range on her. But the close-up one-on-ones is definitely not a strong suit for me. I need to I know I need to get into just kind of death match and start uh going after each other and getting better at that. But I find her cleanse extremely useful. I find that I can kind of get up and poke and see what's going on, and I've got a really quick escape button to kind of get me away from stuff as well as catch up to the group if I need to.
Got it.
So, yeah.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, makes total sense to me. Makes total sense. Let's keep going here. So, I really want to improving how I heal. Some tips on understanding the game better. Tend to bounce from role to role, but main role has been healing. I'd love to play this more effectively for the team. Focus less on raw numbers, more value to the team. A lot of games, I just don't find myself healing near as much as the other players. Sometimes, no matter how hard I try, sometimes I just get left in the dust. Other times, I'm barely keeping up. In those matches, I'll try to focus on healing, but then I think I'm losing value. In other areas, it's crazy how effective some other healers can be while still getting assists and kills while really healing a lot. Okay. Basically, the way to look at it is that um, I don't know how much you've played of some of the other supports. Maybe like you've played a little BAP and Moira, but like for example, you lock into Zenyatta, your support is going to come really not through the quantity of your healing, but through the quantity of your damage. And I think that's pretty intuitive, right?
Right.
But the interesting thing about Zenyatta is that his healing is actually very useful when it is useful. So you think about transcendence, right? When you're getting a lot of
Mhm.
Zen trance healing, you know it counts. You know it's a big deal. Harmony Orb, right?
Mhm.
Big deal. That 30 healing per second, when it's used on the right target, just the trickle of healing that it can do for, like, let's say a Tracer or a Genji or something like that, is a huge deal. And I think so. My point being here is for you is I want you to really kind of put your mindset into what does my support bring to the table to help my team win, not what does my support need to do to get those healing numbers up. Because you can even say it there as like when I focus on healing, I'm losing value in other areas. And while Kiriko is a competent healer in her own right, a lot of her other value is through those other areas. It's
Right.
hitting those cleanses. It's putting the pressure, using your mobility, getting good value out of your Kitsune Rush, which is a pretty consistent ultimate when compared to a lot of the other support ultimates in the game. And making sure that you're doing those things right. Because I don't know if you follow sports too much, but it would be the equivalent of like if you were to play, like, let's say, American football, and your
Hmm.
goal was just to get as much running yardage as possible. You might call a play that doesn't make sense given the situation just because you want to pump those numbers up. And that's
Yeah.
what we tend to do a lot whenever we're talking about like healing or damage. And the same thing happens with the damage shows, right? They're pumping out damage instead of
Hmm.
trying to secure positions or secure eliminations. So I would put a lot of emphasis on what are our objectively what are our objective measures for Kiriko, and that's obviously why I'm here to help you out with that, and worry less and less about the statistical performance.
Right.
That's not as
Yeah.
much of an issue.
And yeah, that's kind of what, that was exactly that now it's sometimes a guide to just make sure that like I'm doing enough for the team. Like, and if
Mm-hmm.
it's a number that kind of keeps up, I'm okay with it, especially if I'm a healer that doesn't do as much healing. But like it used to be really like, oh man, I'm not doing near as much healing as everybody else. Um, and that was what I kind of focused on. But then I'm like, if all I'm doing is sitting here and healing, then there's other things that I'm probably not doing.
Yeah. I think the tricky part is in the current state of Overwatch right now. I don't think there's really any stat aside from deaths, which even that doesn't tell the full story, that can
Hmm.
really tell the
Yeah,
full picture. There just isn't, and so you
yeah,
really have to trust your instincts and trust your process, and that takes time. That's where
yeah,
you need somebody like me who's maybe had a little bit of extra experience of what those objective measures are. And but the good news is that I think that the more that you play, and the more that you play with intention, you'll start to develop a sense of like, okay, I can feel us winning these fights as a result of
yeah,
my impact, or going back and looking
yeah,
at the replay view where I can see what I did. Okay,
yeah.
every day, other day, at least around 2 to 4 hour sessions. So is that generally every other day? When do you play every day?
Honestly, there have been a lot of times like I have time for it just about every day to at least get a couple games in. Sometimes I just don't, and then between like traveling, work, and other responsibilities, like
Yeah.
some like last week, I really wasn't able to play all that much.
Okay. Okay.
But
Yep.
like, when I get into a groove, especially when I've got like my friends on, like they definitely encourage me, even if they're just around, like even just to encourage me to come in and just kind of play and maybe play with characters I don't really use a whole lot to, try something else out and try to see if I can understand that character a little more.
Sure.
Um,
Sure. Okay.
so
Yeah,
yeah,
that's fine. I think every other day is still fine. Like, especially for your goals here, which you're not aiming to become pro here, really, but like diamond, right? So I think like
yeah,
that's achievable with a couple hours every other day, especially if you're efficient with your training time, and we can talk about that. So,
okay.
let's talk a little bit about warm up. So, do you warm up right now?
I do, yeah. I mean, sometimes like I'll walk in and I'll just kind of throw myself into like warm up unranked games just to kind
Okay.
of get the feel and maybe dick around with a couple other characters and then like I'll pop in and actually start playing ranked, with my character. I also there's a one of the custom one of the custom games basically just where all the characters jump around and come at you and I
Yeah.
just kind of warm up my, you know, Kiriko's knife or, anything like that. So,
Yeah. Okay, yeah, fair enough. I think what you should try to accomplish with your warm up is something that kind of engages your brain a little bit, kind of gets you warm, right?
okay.
And that's where that can be deathmatch, that can be quick play, that could be one of those custom games. I think Vaxta is the one that I like a lot. Just that's there's just like rapid engagement, right? Like rapid engagement, rapid fighting.
Hmm.
The one problem with quick play in that front is that it's not quite as rapid. But if you think it helps warm up your positioning inside of things, that's fine as well. And then I think there's the other way of thinking about things is that it's not so much the warm up, but it's the drilling. So
Hmm.
one of the things I've been talking a lot about recently with a lot of my DPS players is the value of drills. So for Kiriko, there's like a lot less in your kit to worry about. But as I pull up Vaxta code, let me type Vaxta in your channel just so you have that.
Yeah,
This is the
Vax,
workshop.
yeah. I was
Yeah.
actually gonna ask you about that. So,
Yeah. So it's there's really not that you can practice. Okay, this is being weird. Usually it allows you to shoot to do it. But what you could do is there's really 2 drills that you could do with Kiriko. Well, there's 3 drills, but we'll talk about the 2 main ones. One is just to hold perfectly still and just aim at head height if you can. And you notice that it's like, okay, it's hard. And what you do is notice I'm aiming versus up close, and then I'm going to aim far away. So I'm going to try and aim.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, where'd she go? I'm going to finish her off. So you got a mercy pocket, but that's okay.
I think, yeah, this is either the one or very similar to
it's probably this one, right? And then what I'm going to start to do is I'm going to kind of start strafing. So now I'm using my left hand and my right hand. And I don't really care what I'm aiming for. I'm going to mix it up, and I'm going to lock down on one character. And notice as well how I'm firing.
Mm-hmm. Not like directly at him.
Right. Trying to lead, but also the fire rate as well. I'm slowing things down. Now, I could kill them faster, but I'm trying to give myself time to like readjust. I'm not firing at maximum fire rate the entire time.
I'm not just sitting there holding the button down.
Right, exactly. Because like
clicks.
the decisive clicks. Because the problem is if you use your maximum fire rate, that's great. Mechanics here are not my forte. But you allow yourself to practice developing good mechanical habits.
Right.
Now, that's one of 2 drills. One is with no movement, one is with movement. There's a couple other things that you can do, and the last one is, I think, is the one that we're going to utilize probably for you. So I would do 60 seconds maybe of one, maybe 60 seconds of another. And then the final 60 seconds, I do want you to hold down. You're just going to work on it. You're just trying to like kill, okay, I got to realign my crosshair as quickly as I can. And you're going to notice that you'll probably kill stuff a little faster. Mm-hmm. But I want it to kind of be like the segue into, oh my goodness gracious, I want it to be the segue into like what you're going to be doing in the actual ranking, which is more likely going to be holding it down. Yeah. So these are the 3 drills I want you to do. You could do something like that. We could wall climb and come up for verticality as well. So you can. That's just another drill you can do as well. I find this one to be less useful, but that's something to consider. Okay. Final thing that you can do, which you can utilize however you like, is you can go into, it's arcade now, and lock in 8-player deathmatch. Now, there will be people playing tanks in these modes, but you're not really worrying so much about winning. You're just kind of practicing dueling, even if it's a Roadhog. How do you put pressure on a Roadhog without dying instantly? How do you put pressure? How do you win a 1v1 with a Tracer, when you don't have a teleport to get out of jail free card? I think it's good practice. I really do. Okay. So I think you have a lot of options here. You have quick play, which kind of warm up your game sense, kind of just get you in there and playing the game. You have your Vaxa, which is going to really give you a good opportunity to kind of wake yourself up. Lots and lots of exposure to shooting, but it's not really a real 1v1. Okay. Then you have Deathmatch, which is a lot more exposure than quick play and a lot more dueling than Vaxa. It's kind of like that 50-50 ground, right? Where you're going to be constantly firing, constantly shooting, and actually properly dueling people. The question would be like, what's the queue time feel like, and so on. The nice thing as well is you don't have like these stupid spawn times that you have to worry about either. But those are really your 3 options, I think, and then you can kind of choose whatever works better for you, and you can mix it up. And basically, here's what I'd say: never make your warm up or your drilling like a drudgery. If you're like, I'm not really feeling the day, I just want to jump into rigged, make yourself jump into Vaxxer for 2 minutes. That's it.
Okay.
2 minutes.
I see what you're saying. Yeah. So if I don't want to wait in the long queue times, I just want to get in there, bang a couple games out. Just do something like that.
Just do 6.
Get in and
exactly. If you're feeling more like I kind of want to drill some mechanics out today, I got a little extra time. Maybe jump in, do a quick play game to warm yourself up mentally. Yeah. Jump in, do 5 to 6 minutes of Vaxa. Maybe do a death match. Maybe go anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes training your mechanics. And then go from there. And then I think once you do that, ranked is really good practice at mechanics, but I think Vaxta and all those other things can provide other options as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right. So that's my recommendation for that. And then from there, you can kind of implement that as you like. Now, one thing I want to point out, last thing for training schedule, even for only let's say 2-hour sessions, highly recommend taking breaks between games. Highly recommend taking breaks between games. And by breaks, I mean you queue up, you step away from your keyboard for 30 seconds.
I've heard you talk about that a lot. Well, and I guess this is a good time that I can actually ask you questions.
Let's do it.
Sometimes I just make sure to at least stand up between games.
Yes.
But are you saying also to take a quick minute or 2 break away? I mean, I guess it's a couple minutes anyway.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's a couple minutes anyway. You're playing support, probably the most popular role right now. So you take the time that you can to get away, even after a good game. Just mentally refresh yourself. I do this even when I'm streaming because you're like, oh, I got to be, but because like whenever I'm playing
Right.
seriously on stream, like let's say when I had my Juno drilling recently, right?
Hmm.
I try to stay locked in. And I try to stay locked in by allowing myself time to kind of like readjust and reevaluate and honestly process some of the emotions, which at times, I mean, we know how ranked is, right?
Yes.
It's it's a very emotionally and physically and mentally taxing experience. So just like giving yourself that recuperation opportunity, I think is really, really, really important. And I find for me personally, and most people I've worked with, that could really extend the number of games that I can stay focused and energetic on.
Yeah.
When I take those breaks, I'm talking like 30, 40% more games with like actually high quality experience and also significantly fewer situations where I feel really frustrated, right? Like, eventually everyone has to stop, right? You have to stop at some point, but
Right.
I find it takes me a lot longer to get there. And then when I do run out of energy, I'm not generally as mentally boomed either.
Hmm.
Okay, that is my big clip dump there for training exercises and training ideas. I think that stuff
Yeah.
matters, though. That's something that you can carry with you from here to Grandmaster. But okay, I want to reach Diamond. I want to be effective with players like that. I guess last thing there is, do you have any questions at all about anything that we spoke about before we move on?
No, largely, I mean, all that it kind of makes sense. I mean, it sounds like, you know, make sure that I'm actually like warming myself up with effective drills that kind of warm up like the various things that I can then put into application
Yes.
and, when I'm actually getting into
Yes.
competitive, and get the blood flowing, stand up
Yes.
at least just kind of between games, let it cue in, and then sit back down, especially if I'm going to be playing like all day or all
Exactly.
afternoon, which sometimes I
Ex-
do. I just kind of
ex-
get in and keep going because it's
Exactly,
fun.
exactly, exactly. It is fun, yeah, and I think that's a great way of putting it. Now, I will say, like I guess the last thing I'm glad we brought it up was when you do play for like a long period of time, like knowing your limitations of how long can you practice before you need to stop. I
Yeah,
would say the practice time for most people on a day where you're not working would be anywhere from 4 hours, probably 3 to 4, and days where you are from like 1 to 2, 1 to 3
right,
before you, because it's just you just only have so much energy. That being
right.
said, like let's say that you have a day where you're like, I just want to play all day. Play for a few hours with full focus. Do your drills. Do get your rank. Set your goals. And
Yeah,
then when you're done, you know, do whatever you want. Like you play quick play.
right.
You can even
Yeah,
keep playing rank. Just don't play with rank with any expectations of I'm gonna practice this. No, no, no.
no, right.
Just chill. Just chill. You know.
So I could like, warm up, I could hit my competitive, and if I want to keep playing after I'm like starting to get tired or like, oh crap, my play is now garbage, I'm just gonna switch over to ranked and then I can do whatever I want.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
unranked and do whatever I want.
Yeah. You can off roll, you can alt, you can quick play, arcade, whatever you want.
Right.
But yeah, just having like different, because I think we've all had, of course, we've all had times where we played for a long time and we play with different
Mm,
reasons. But if you want good practice hygiene, this is how you do it. That's the
gotcha.
difference.
Okay. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah. So okay, I want to reach diamond. I know I need to improve mechanics overall. I'm not sure how to get there. Okay, so the way to get there is to consistently utilize some of the basic drills that we showed you there. But
Hmm.
the other way to get there is just to consistently play ranked with the hero pool that you have now. You play
Okay.
Kiriko consistently every other day for a couple hours in ranked. You don't even necessarily need the drills. The drills will help, but you will improve your mechanics. It's
Okay.
just mechanics are like it's just the slowest developing skill in the game. Really, it just takes a
Right.
long time, and there's just really no rushing that process whatsoever. Now, I will say, do you have a sensitivity that you're comfortable with right now?
You talking about like mouse sensitivity?
Yes.
So yeah, it's interesting. I've got a mouse with the two buttons right behind the wheel, and
Yep.
I just have a bunch of different stages. And I usually try to stick around like the same sensitivity and like, because I might use it for other things, but I always try to come back to about the same sensitivity when I'm playing.
Okay.
Mine seems to be, I don't mind moving my hand around a little bit. I hate when it's super sensitive, especially when I'm actually like trying to, shoot for range. It's nice when I get to move my hand around a little bit more.
Good. Good. Okay. Do you know exactly what that DPI is? Like your mouse's DPI is?
Ooh, I don't. Well, because it's DPI.
And sensitivity
In
in
my
game.
program, yeah, exactly. What am I at right now? I think this is what I was playing at last night, which for performance set to, what is that, 800 DPI, and then my sensitivity, I'm not even sure I really change it, so it's probably just default in Overwatch. Hang on, I've got it up. It
Yeah, it's great. No
is
problem.
sensitivity's at 15%.
So it's at 815%.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me think here. So that's around 12,000 eDPI. How much mouse pad space do you have approximately in like inches or hand widths right now, both vertically and horizontally?
Um, I have, ooh, hang on. Just because I have it here and I'm a nerd. What is that about? 16 by 12?
16
That's
by
not covered by
12.
my keyboard.
Got it. Okay, okay. Recommendation for you. So you're running a relatively high sensitivity, which can put a little bit of stress on your wrist, but it can lead to a little bit of inconsistency with your aim. So for context,
Really?
a lot of support players that professionals and platinums and diamonds and just the average sensitivity is going to be somewhere around 5K, 4 to 5K, which is about a third of what you're running.
Really?
Yeah, pretty extreme cut from you. So I think sensitivity is partially like preference based, but I do think there are some objective concerns about having an EDPI as high as you have now.
Mm-hmm.
So here's what I'd recommend. Right now, let me type in your channel. You have 800 times 15. I would consider toying around from anywhere that produces your EDPI, which is your DPI times cents. Aim for 3.5, 3,500 to 7,000.
Okay.
Somewhere in that vicinity. Now, that might be as low as a 4 sensitivity. That might be as high as a 9 sensitivity. But that's all a pretty significant reduction from where you're at. Now, here's the good news. The good news is that it's going to be something that you will be able to adjust to, and it will be better for your long-term mechanic consistency, and
Okay.
it'll be better for your wrist health. The bad news is that there will be a small period of adjustment where things will feel a little bit awkward.
Right, where I feel like I'm whipping my hand
Yeah,
around.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit, right? But you need to trust that process just a little bit. And as long as it feels okay, stick with it. Stick with it.
Okay.
There
I'm
will be a
actually really
period.
glad that, yeah, like I'm really glad that I actually get to have this conversation because it's nice hearing like, yes, that is actually high because I've done like super sensitive or more sensitive where I really don't have to move my hand around at all to
Mm-hmm.
I feeling like it's not super sensitive and I really have to move my hand around and
Yeah,
so
yeah,
yeah, but I
yeah.
see what you're saying. It's nice to actually get some feedback on something that might be more useful for me.
Yeah, so like right now, so I'm on 1602, so it's 3200. So for
Yeah.
context for me, this would be closer to around an 8, right? And so
Yeah.
it's like, I can, it's there's still a little bit of arm motion. Like if I want something more aggressive, I'm going to use my arm. But it's mostly like I can do if I turn my wrist all the way, I can do almost a full like I can basically do a full 360 just about, right, with a full wrist motion. And that's just
Okay.
gonna and that's this is just a little too high. This is essentially what you're running with right now. I'm running,
I
a
see.
quarter of that. And so for me, let's find something that's probably going to be closer to what you're going to run, which is probably going to be about half of what you have now. I can still do with my wrist basically a full 180, right? I got a full out of
Okay.
control. But for me to do this, it does take arm motion, which is going to help you to be a little bit more precise. Because if I overshoot by half a centimeter, I'm not going to overshoot by this much. If I overshoot by half a centimeter, I'll overshoot by this much, right? Which is going to
Gotcha.
make it easier for correction. It just
Okay.
allows you to be a little bit more precise. Okay, that would be my recommendation for you. Now, let's keep going here. Any questions so far?
Nope.
Okay. That will help with mechanical consistency, plus with the skill, the reps stuff that we talked about earlier, the drills, plus the consistent playtime. Now, in terms of hero pool right now, do you have your career profile from this competitive season pulled up right now and or the last one?
Let me see here. I do. Let's see. Social. Oh crap, that's in career profile. Yeah.
Yep.
Um, just am I looking at just a hero comparison, a
Yeah,
progression?
like how many hours you got on Kiriko versus other characters? I'm curious.
Right now, Kiriko's at 2 hours, Zen's at half an hour, and then I've got like Ram at half an hour, Moira at half an hour.
Okay, good, good, good. More hours in Kiriko, the better. If the Kiriko gets boring and you get burned out and you want to play something else, you're more than welcome to. But obviously, like you want to on any, let's say every 3 or 4 weeks, that there needs to be one or two characters that are your, for lack of a better term, priority characters, if that makes
Okay.
sense. So they get a little bit more of your time. We just don't want you playing the rainbow every single week, right?
No, right. And there are other characters that I enjoy playing. I like to get used to them, see what they're capable of. Like Mercy's usually a pretty good like oh shit character that oh well, I know I there's not a whole lot of healing going on outside of me and everyone keeps dying and we could use someone who can res right now. So I'll swap to a
Yes.
Mercy. Sometimes when I'm defending, if I know that we're in kind of a tighter space, I can use an Alari and set up her node, and so there are different characters that I like to play depending on the situation, but mainly Kiriko's usually the most comfortable. Bap's my kind of second most comfortable, and then Zenyatta, which I've been playing more of recently, is kind of like we need to kill them faster.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, okay, fair enough. I will say mechanics feel like my biggest problem. Well, we've talked about a lot of small things that can help with that. And understanding most of all, but I won't be prideful and say my mentality is right either. I hate letting the team I'm on, down. So when I'm called out as my rank increases, I play it safe, try to heal mainly, and still not getting the numbers, which means I'm not getting a team value. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, so basically, what we kind of have here is like partly with you with where you're putting your attention onto your statistics and your healing, which we've talked about, but then also
Hmm.
partly your team because they may not have an understanding of what they need from you. They're gonna browbeat you essentially into a responsibility that is not assisting you in winning the game.
Right. Okay.
And so we'll talk about some things that you could be doing differently besides just heal botting. But I'll tell you what, like if everybody in plat or gold had their way, the tanks would stay on main and block damage, and the healers would stay in the back and heal, and that's all that the
Yeah.
game would be. And you'd lose a lot of games because
Right.
anybody with any sort of creativity or proactivity or would just win, right? And I think that that's something that's like you need to be aware of that and fight that tendency. It's annoying, but that's just how it is, and that's probably how it always will be. Because if you think about it, if I'm a DPS player, I would rather get a pocket than win the game.
Right.
I would rather you heal me and we lose because all you do is heal me, and I feel like I did something, and I get that big dope. And same thing with tanks, right? Like
Right.
I don't care
Exactly.
about
I
winning the game.
personally did good,
Right,
even though we lost. So
right,
go
right.
me, and everyone else sucks.
Exactly, and that's how it goes. Everyone's wants best for them and not what's best for the team. And so your job may conflict with what your team needs. They may want something, but they may not need something else. And it's up to you to really not to necessarily decipher what they need, just to give them what you have. What can
Right.
Kiriko provide? Well, do that. Don't do other things, right? I think that's the key thing here.
Okay.
Now, so obviously, you're busy. You work a lot. Sleep is on the lower end, so I won't harass you too much over that. But I will say it is on the lower end, and that might reduce some of your ability to apply some of the concepts that we talk about, or to learn as quickly, or to react as quickly, or and so on. It would be amiss for me to not at least not to bring it up, but
Bring
it's
it
also
up.
be
Right.
amiss for me to
No,
harass you too much.
no. It is something that I definitely. Well, and it's not just this. It's probably really healthy for me in a lot of other areas too. So it's something that I need to work on. And I've been getting better as of late. Changing things slowly, and I'm starting to pick up more hours and trying to
Yeah.
force myself off of like doing this, which I enjoy late at night, to actually go to bed.
Yeah, 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 yeah. 100%, 100%. Okay, cool. I don't have anything else from your forum. Do you have any other questions for me?
Um, I mean, honestly, like I've already had a lot of like the questions I've been kind of like batting around over time, um, answered for the most part.
Good,
So right now, I
good.
don't think so. I mean, they'll probably pop up. That's how my brain works. So I might hit
Sure.
you with something in a little bit. But yeah, we'll see what happens.
All right, sounds good. Keep in mind that like I know it's all the boring stuff, but everything that we talked about leading up to this point, I really encourage you to set some goals with how you're practicing your sensitivity, your mentality, your approach to games. Like this is the stuff that over a long period of time, that's going to be the difference maker in your ability to rank up more so than
Right.
anything else.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, drop a replay code here and we can take a look.
Okay, let me get back. It's actually the first time I've actually ever went and looked at my replays before, so I had to actually find them. I mean, I'd seen them like right after a game, but I'm really glad that they actually save up. What do you think's kind of better to look at? There's a couple where I tried to stick with some of my mains. I've got victories, I've got defeats. I was playing last night, which is where a couple of these came from. And there were some times when I just really felt like I couldn't do anything, no matter what I did.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I would say I would recommend a game where you felt like you had questions about what to do. And then obviously like a recent game as well. Those are like the two main variables when choosing a game. It could be a win, it can be a loss. I don't really care, but especially a game where you felt a little bit confused about your responsibility. Super, super important.
yeah. Let me see. I think this one. Okay, yeah, let me see if I can copy this real quick. Hang on, I guess I just gotta type it in. Or is there an easy way to copy this? Nope. All right, there you go. There's one.
Got it. Okay, so this code. Why this code in particular?
I believe this one, I felt like I was doing a lot of things right. But there were times when one of the biggest things that I've definitely been trying to, as I've been getting better and better, is trying not to die as much as I do. And there's
Mm-hmm.
some matches where I'm great at it, and some matches where I feel like I die more than everybody else.
Sure.
And in some matches I try to like, okay, I know I'm being picked on, like that's gonna happen. But I try to adapt and move past that as well. So
Sure. Again, I want to like even the deaths, right? Like as we said, that's probably the most useful stat. Even that doesn't always tell the full
right.
story, the full picture. So you got to ask, like you said, am I being picked on? Am I deserving of the deaths, for lack of a better term, right?
Mm.
So let's look at things objectively. Now, from what you understand, what does Kiriko bring to the table that's unique to help her team win? What do you provide?
Okay, I guess I'll start with the obvious. I know that she has a decent healing factor. The
Mm-hmm.
reason I like her healing, especially when I've got characters that move around a lot more, that are maybe a little bit faster or kind of like just spread out, I can usually heal from farther distances. I know that
Mm-hmm.
it's continuous too, so it's something that I can rely on if I feel like we're dying too much. I know her cleanse has been something I've been learning more and more. I really like it. Like I even found out the other day that when you're in like a sig ult, especially if I'm up in it with some of my teammates, as soon as we drop, I can pop it on the ground and probably save us and help things out. So I know that like I usually use it just kind of whenever I feel like I need it, unless I see that like another team's got someone that debuffs our team in one way or another, or if I know a Lari is about to ult or something like that.
Yeah. Okay.
Um, and then her, I don't remember the name for her little teleportation, but her teleportation is
Mm-hmm.
really nice because, and I think it was on one of your earlier videos, like a year or two ago. And it was talking about how, she's okay at poking, and you can kind of poke a little bit, maybe take out one of someone smaller, and then when you get in trouble, you can get back to your team and then help support there.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I
Absolutely.
love her wall climb. That's a heck of a lot of stuff, but that's not why
No,
she's
no,
used for
no,
the
no.
team.
No, I
But
mean, but see, here's the thing: is like I want you to stop framing things whether it's of use to the team, because the
okay,
best way of thinking about it is that your use to your team is either healing the team or the cleanse or whatever, but it's also your ability to keep yourself alive while also putting out pressure. If you
Okay.
think about it strictly from, oh, well, this is just going to help my team because it's need more healing, then no, it's that not everything is, right? Zenyatta's damage doesn't help his team directly, but him being a nuisance and putting up pressure is a lot of use
Right.
to your team. You can't
Yeah.
push a Zenyatta without hurting, and that's what helps people, right? So when I look at Kiriko's wall climb, the reason it's useful is because if it helps keep you alive,
Yeah.
then that's something that you can use to help keep your team alive. Or if it helps you to stay alive while DPSing somebody else, the more damage you do to the enemy team, the less damage they do to your team, because the more attention you
Right.
get, the more resources you force, and so on. So what makes Kiriko unique is her ability to take different positions and utilizing that teleport, like you said, and utilizing the wall climb, like you said, to be able to get out and then do it again.
Right.
That's what makes you unique. Your healing per second is decent, but it's actually not the greatest in the history of the world. There's other supports that can do it better and more consistently.
Right.
However, there just aren't supports that can take the positions that you can take and get out. Like Juno can take angles, but she's much slower and she can't get out for free, right? Lucio can move, but he's a little bit more limited with how far he can move. His range is much more limited. And in addition to that, he's also a lot harder to move around with. Kiriko, you just TP through a freaking wall, and that's pretty much it. You got to get what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it's not always about hard DPSing with Kiriko 24/7, hard damage. But you could take angles to do damage. You could take angles to heal. You could take those high grounds. You could take all those positions that you otherwise wouldn't be able to and get out of jail free. And if you could do that, then you pop off. That's it.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think that's kind of similar to the one of the Zen videos I was watching. At least I know Zen's got like crazy range, and you're
Yeah.
like, it's
Yeah.
basically just an aiming simulator.
That's
Stand back
it.
and
Right.
update your orbs and
Right.
keep shooting from a distance.
I
And
mean,
Kiriko's got
I mean,
distance too. So.
you've heard the whole support not healer, right? Like that's that's
Yes,
true, right? There's a reason why you're designed. Support is sometimes
I like
direct,
that.
sometimes
Okay.
indirect. It's very important that you keep it with that mindset. So, what I want to see here is I want to see uniquely Kiriko things. I want to see uniquely Kiriko positions and angles and high grounds and dueling people. And oh no, I'm starting to lose. I don't want to die. Let me teleport out. So,
Right.
what I'm going to ask you is, what about your position right now? Is Kiriko.
Literally nothing.
Literally nothing, by the way. Nice skin choice. So
Thank
what
you.
would be a unique Kiriko position for healing and or damage? Let's see, be creative here.
So I think where I actually go in a second is across the field up onto that platform on the left.
Like here?
Yeah, pretty much. And then
Now,
I
why
kind
is
of,
this useful? What can you do from here? It's the same healing, no?
yeah,
But what's different?
yeah. I know that I can see more of my team whenever they pull backwards,
Okay.
which is kind of why I chose it. And I can kind of stay back behind that wall to the left, keep from dying.
Yep.
And I'm a little bit closer to the action, so I'm not right down that big hallway because a lot of them are, and right now, like where I am, that's all visible, especially because they've got an Anna in the back that can probably hit me if I'm just standing back there.
It's funny because you said I'm more visible if my team backs up. What if your team pushes forward?
Yeah, then I'm screwed. Yeah.
With where you're at now.
Mm,
But if you're here,
yeah.
how could you use your wall climb?
I could get up onto that bridge right there.
You get me? Heck,
Yeah.
you could even rotate to this little window here.
Okay. You know what? And this is on me. Didn't even know that existed until
And
like right this
it's
second.
funny. The
Or I
reason why you
never
don't know it
registered it.
exists, the reason why you didn't know it existed is because you never looked.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
You never looked. You never looked. You're going to learn so much about the maps after this session because you're going to be forcing yourself to experiment and discover more
I'm
things.
just gonna go run around them.
Now, you notice here that we haven't talked about damage or healing. I don't care what you do here.
right.
I would like for you to wait and heal people, and then when you see opportunities to put out pressure on squishies, Kiriko's really good at that. In fact, if you're able to get like an angle like here and poke out the Hanzo and before he sees you, because he won't expect you, which is why you have the drop on him, right? That would be really big, right? But see, the thing is here is what happens if they push you here? Like, let's say there was like a tracer and she dove you and you missed a couple of shots and you had to get away. Could you get away from this angle here with teleport?
With teleport, absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely, right? Now, let's say
Yeah.
you get pushed here. Like, where would you go? Where would you teleport to?
Yeah, I've only got like I
Your
either
front
teleport
line,
right into the middle of the field. Yeah.
and that's it. So this is kind of what we talked about, I think, in one of those reviews, where your initial angle creates your teleport opportunity. If you don't take that initial high ground, even just to heal, you will not have a successful teleport escape.
Right.
That's it. So we won't critique this too much here. I like this a lot. I like also the fact that you can go with somebody else. But see, the problem here is dumping healing into Diva. That's not what makes you unique. You could heal and heal and heal and Suzu and heal and heal and heal and heal and Suzu and heal and heal. But you know what? A Life Weaver and Ana, they're just gonna out heal you.
Yeah.
And not only that, but the Ana will out heal you, and she'll chuck a nade interchangeably and force your Suzu out. And she has it more often than you have Suzu. You got a big problem. But you know what Ana doesn't have? She doesn't have freaking wall climb. She doesn't have Swift Step. You know, she doesn't have that, and neither does Life Weaver either. So you have to find this kind of proactivity, right? And right now, I want you to be pushing your positions, pushing your angles here. Use that mobility, right? Because ultimately, you die nonetheless, right?
Yeah.
So we won't, like I said, beat the dead horse here. I like this. I like that. It's good. Probably didn't need the Suzu there because of Ice Block, but that's all right.
Gotcha.
And then you kind of notice how your vision here just feels so much better.
Yeah, I can see everything. I don't feel like I'm a target right here. I will be in a second. I think that Junkrat sees me and is getting ready to come after me.
Now, here's the interesting bit of psychology here. Is you being a target here a problem?
Is me being a target here a problem?
Because you are bait here. They're like, oh, this Kiriko's out of position, right? Whatever that means.
Right.
So now what? So how does that? How does it? Is that of use? Is that bad? Is that good?
I mean, I could see why it would be good, because instead of focusing on them, like that Junkrat's gonna try to come after me instead.
And is that even worth his time? Like, what's gonna happen?
Not.
You're just gonna teleport out, like, right? Like,
yeah,
like
exactly.
What? And so it's like that's kind of the catch-22 with Kiriko is you can't kill her, so you ignore her, but then she just gets all the free value from healing and damaging, but then you focus her and then she just teleports out again. Like, and that's what makes your character really strong. And I think that this is the first time really here where we've seen maybe that potential. I love the fact that you don't even really teleport out because like I can just hide. This is good. This is good. More of this.
Okay.
This is really good. More of this. If we had had this 2 minutes ago, I don't think we'd be stuck in this choke anymore. Even the little bit of damage that you're doing. This is good.
Okay.
Now, this guy's face is perfect. Use your Suzu.
Yes.
Shoot this guy in the face. If you don't double tap him in the head, teleport out.
Okay. All right.
Basically, Suzu and teleport allows you to what I like to call kind of ego a duel, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I could try and take it, and if I lose, I give up. Now, what I don't want you to do is, even though you pop Kitsune here, I don't want you to give up in that position. I don't want you to give up in that position. Go back and try it again. Go back and try it again.
See.
You get.
I was gonna ask because I rotated out and I felt like I was like right in the middle of the bowling alley.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to go back up there just yet. But you know what? I didn't even look, and so I was like, where the hell should I have gone? And it's like, well, if it's clear, go the hell back up there.
That's it. That's it exactly. Like you find those windows of opportunity, and you want to talk about we talk about wall climb. What a perfect time to talk about it right now, right? Because it's what allows you to go back, right, and just go back and try it again, right? So right now I want you to think about, you can use Kitsune for yourself. Wow, that's incredible. But you could also use your Kitsune to give your team an advantage, and then you take the position elsewhere, right?
Yeah.
Because you can kind of see that, like, even with a Kitsune, what were your sightlines like, right? It's pretty bad. Pretty bad. And it's pretty bad because where are all the threats?
Around the corner.
Right. And why are they all around the corner? Because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people, scary people, in this choke with a Kitsune rush. So then when they all hide from that, they hide from everything. You notice that?
Yeah.
Whereas if you're here, like let's say you took the high ground here, Merry Christmas.
Yeah. So
Merry
I can
Christmas.
Kitsune, jump around. Now I've basically just got them in a long hallway.
You got it. You got it. Now you're not totally isolating yourself. You can still teleport out if you'd like to, but it's something to consider. Now this type of, but to be very clear, this type of play style, I won't even say this is a play style, this is just how you play Kiriko, is you're going to make mistakes and you're going to die. And you're like,
Right.
crap, I'm trolling the fights. I shouldn't do this. Mate, you're losing 50% of your games right now. You're going to have to be willing to invest a little bit of time into trying something new and learning something new and making mistakes, because this is how you're going to improve right here. This is
Okay.
going to be it right here. Right now, you already have somebody on cart. Where should you be?
I should be up higher, probably up to the left.
Why up to the left?
Because then I can first off, I can see my people down to the right. When one of them gets in trouble, I can see their whole team off to the left.
Heal, damage, and guess what? You'll also end up helping out the people who are really, really cooking. You get it? Right now, I would rather support my Sombra in about 5 seconds than my Reinhardt, because I think what she's about to do matters a lot more, because I really like her aggressive position. What you end up doing is you actually end up supporting aggression, not just your own aggression, but their aggression too. And let's find out. Let's find out. Let's see where you were. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
This looks promising. Okay, well, you gave up.
You
gave up.
If I could actually, yeah.
And you see the problem with teleporting inside your own backline, right? Where do you go? That's going to be Suzu. Well, it should have been Suzu. You should have died.
Yep, and then I'm just stuck.
And there it is.
Which,
yeah. And that's okay. I mean, like that's the only thing you could have done at that point in time. And even then, your teleport gets screwed up. You teleport inside your team, and you die again. All right. Are you seeing the flow here?
Yes.
It's nothing to do with cutting down with your healing or doing more healing or doing more damage. It has nothing to do with cutting down in your deaths or doing more eliminations. It's about putting yourself in a position where you can have consistent impact, whether it's healing, damage, LMs, cutting down deaths, everything. It's everything. It's not any one of those things. It's all of them.
Right. Yeah.
Even here, where's the most important position do you think right now? Predict it.
Yeah. Up top.
Probably top left. And sure enough, your summer just went for a play. You could have helped this right here. You could have helped this.
Yeah.
You know?
And I was stuck right behind the Rhine, which I ended up paying for.
It's scary. I mean, look at how chaotic this is. This is unbelievably chaotic. Like, this is give me a stroke just watching, right? Like I mean, like that's silly, but like, man, you are in the Coliseum. You are in the middle of total chaos.
Which is absolutely not what a Kiriko's for.
Right. You're too squishy for that. So it's like you want to be. You are really like, you're like a support assassin. You have the delicacy of like taking these initial angles and positions, not just doing damage only, but like even what you did in first point, right? Where you're just able to kind of sit, spectate to support where you needed, damage when you needed. Where would that be right now, do you think?
See, like maybe up to the right, because I can't imagine going straight up on the same platform that all of them are on.
Yeah. This is okay. This is okay. Maybe you could take an opportunity here, wall climb, and I don't know, can Kiriko make that roll? Maybe she can't.
Maybe.
Here, certainly as things open up, you might be able to rotate in through here. Because I'm going to make a prediction. I'm going to count to 5, and they're going to drop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, wow. Okay, look at that.
Yeah,
look at that. Look at that. Okay, we're pushing for free, so... Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Surprise.
Yeah.
But yeah, at some point, they're going to drop, in which case, well, that high ground's vacated. They have to stop the card eventually, so then you take the high ground away from it, and then it's just like a rinse and repeat. So, But yeah, I think even just you being here, it's a good shot. So you've actually done a pretty good job, despite not having a lot of experience, of kind of feeling where you ought to be, or where you could be.
Right.
And this is with 0 experience. Now, we're obviously kind of chilling in a voice channel. This isn't a stressful Overwatch game, but...
right.
That goes to show at least that you have enough of the skill sets to start learning this skill.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and now, it's something that I need to pay more attention to, and it's not just, like, staying back and focusing on, like, a certain amount of healing. It's like, hey, first off, positioning is extremely important, and, because it just can't be, hey, where am I not going to die, but how can I get the most value for my team.
This is so good.
In this position.
Sorry to interrupt you, but this is really good. I mean, look at this. You've avoided the Dragon Strike just by being up top. If somebody comes up to contest you, well, you've got help. You also could probably predict that these guys are going to be the ones that need help. And if you just end up having a big messy fight on point, are you scared? Not at all.
Yeah.
Heck, you could pop Kitsune Rush from here and stay here.
Oh, can I really pop it from up there?
You can. The fox drops. So let me show you something really fast.
Okay.
The fox won't climb, but it will drop.
Okay. All right.
It's a very
I can't
common.
remember where I did it,
common.
but one time I popped it and I'm like, it went like 2 feet. I'm like, are you
Well,
kidding
it'll
me
hit a
right
wall.
now?
It'll hit a wall. So if he hits a wall, so like I'll show you kind of what we got going here. So like here, the fox doesn't get stopped by the wall, so it
Okay.
goes down, right? But if I had popped it even like a couple inches over, it would have clonked and
I
died.
see.
So check this out. Whoops, that's a jump pad. So like let's say I put my crosshair here.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, the track should go through, but no, it dies because it hit the
Gotcha.
wall, right? Now, what we were looking for was, I believe, well, come on now. So it was something like this. So you were up on a high ground here, and you pop it here. Check this out.
Takes it down. Okay. Yeah.
So check it out. Bam, bam, bam,
Totally
bam,
new.
bam, 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 bam. I get there and I get everything. So you can use that if you want to take a top position and you're like, well, I don't want to. I want to help my team, but I will say it is sometimes okay to solo Kitsune or to duo Kitsune. You don't have to always hit your entire team. But if you want to help your team and you want to hold a position, well, guess what? You found a perfect spot to do just that. So yeah, now the more you know. Okay. Skip a little forward here. Yeah, like right here. Perfect time. But yeah, regardless of the Kitsune, I love this. And I will say, positions matter. Your Widow gets an OP position. She does hit a nice shot, but like, this is why we put all the emphasis on the quote-unquote angles, right? It's because this is like, these are all like, it's all the risk-taking, the flanks, the angles, the high grounds. That's what you have to put your emphasis in supporting. The Rhine is something that you can and should support.
Gotcha.
But he's more of an enabler to the real action, if that makes sense.
Right.
And here, why teleport away?
Yeah.
He's too far away to be a real threat. Now, if you get hit, teleport away. But you haven't gotten hit yet.
Yeah.
You're okay with that. You're okay with that. You're more out of a risk of the dying to the Junkrat here than you are up there. Right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
If you think about it. And not to mention everything else besides the Junkrat, too, is more of a threat there. Okay. This is a bit more of a congested lane compared to some of the other spots. So maybe Papa Kitsune take top left. Maybe Papa Kitsune take top right.
Okay. So I should have popped it right here. I usually kind of try to wait. There we go.
This is okay.
Usually when I'm about to get into that fight, or when I feel like my team's getting into that fight.
Here's an interesting little question too. Another problem about standing behind your tank. What can you see here to shoot?
Not a whole lot.
Only one target, and who does it happen to be?
The tank, which I'm not gonna do a whole lot to.
Kiriko sucks versus tank. Like really bad versus tank. You got me?
Mm-hmm.
Look at your target choices. Now, you do open yourself up to being shot by those as well, but something to consider. Something to consider.
Right. Okay.
Let's take a look at your defense here. We'll kind of skip ahead here and give you another opportunity here. You know what? I want to do something a little bit different here. I want a different code entirely.
A different code. Okay.
I want to practice our positioning thought processes on a completely different map, just to practice that skill set.
Okay, how about this one? Let me see. I think it was this.
I don't care if it's a good or a bad game. It's irrelevant.
Okay.
We'll just talk about the
that's
positions.
kind of what I'm like. I think I was frustrated during this Havana game. I don't think it was too long. It was only like 7 minutes. Let me see. Oh, come on. Oh, I literally clicked on your window, not my game.
Brilliant.
Yeah, my bad. Okay, here we go. Hang on.
One time I had a code where I was trying to import a code, but I was still in the replay code from the previous replay code, and so it wasn't letting me import. And it took me a solid 30 seconds to figure it out. So.
Yes. Oh, why does it black out? There we go. Okay.
Got it? Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll just you'll just spin the wheel a little bit, mix
Pretty
it
much,
up.
yeah. I mean, there was a couple of them. I was like, okay, I kind of remember this game, so I'd like to look at this one. And there were a couple of them where I was just like felt frustrated. So
So not a lot of space right here, but once you get the space, and I think you do have it right now, where do you need to be?
probably somewhere higher.
Sure.
Maybe off to the right, kind of behind those pillars.
Yeah, get a
Yeah.
little bit of an angle here, poke out here. You know where else
Okay.
you could be? Check this out.
Yeah.
I don't know that you can go in solo angles if you'd like to. I think they're quite good with Kiriko, but you might not be comfortable with those just yet. That's all right. But what you
But that's
can
not,
look
it sounds
for,
like that can be part of that, like, hey, try new things,
right?
get out there,
But
get used to it.
sure, but in the process, you'll certainly be looking for other teammates like that Sombra to be taking angles and assist them. Because remember, if you're here, you are not killable.
Right.
You just heal Suzu, damage, kill her, force her out, force the pocketer, and go, okay, anyway, bye.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the opposite problem is if you don't start there, if the Reaper needs help, what do you have to do to help the Reaper now?
I have to teleport
You
in.
have to teleport
which
which burns your teleportation. Exactly. And then now you're at a risk of getting killed. So you take the more aggressive angle teleport to safety rather than the other way around. Now, I will say that your idea here, even though it was super basic, super vanilla, you know what? Solid 20, 25% better than where you're at right now.
Yeah.
Really, like even if it was just heal botting, you got good cover, you got a good sightline, you can get some poke damage on that turret, like you've got the nice range. It's beautiful, it's good. It's so much better than what we're doing right now.
Yeah. I see what you're saying. Well, and I don't know if this is necessarily my fault, but it feels like there's nothing to help, and we're all just kind of traffic jammed up behind our ramp.
Right. So that's when you open up your own angle.
Gotcha.
Which is as simple as doing what we said here and putting on some poke pressure here. You help alleviate, split some of that attention and a safety position that's safe for you. But right now, like you have had that, whatever you have your heel bound to, left click or right click, like you've just had that mashed down. And if you get pushed, there's nowhere for you to go. If your team doesn't win the fight on main, there's nothing for you to enable. There's no pressure on backline. The only thing you can shoot is the enemy ram. And any spam damage that misses your team probably ends up hitting you because you're standing right behind him. Good, Suzu. Let's reevaluate it once you get out of the choke because obviously angles evolve, right? So we're here. Now what?
Yeah.
What do you got?
I feel like I could probably be much better suited up to the right.
Yeah,
Especially
get up
because
here.
it's got that corner, and then I could maybe move to the right window later.
Yeah,
once we
heal
get
bot
around the
here, or guess what? Throw a freaking single kunai at her head. Like you never know. Like you just can't. You can actually see stuff, like whether it's both healing or damage. You're not worried about
corner. And I'm
blizzard.
not just looking at the back of the cart and ram. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
And the thing is, there's one last thing I want to kind of consider here is like, if you take these positions, I'm going to warn you two things. Number one, you're going to get contested. People are going to go out of their way to try to push you out.
Stream?
Yeah.
Okay.
So people are going to go out of their way to contest you.
Right.
They are. They're going to go, this guy's out of position, we can push you out. Remember we talked about that with the Junkrat and first point Jib. That's good. We like that. More attention on me, that's what opens up chokes, right?
Okay.
Taking attention off of your tank. As long as you can teleport out safely, you're good to go. Heck, you might kill them, right? You have the capability to do that, right?
Yeah.
The last thing is you're going to die because you're going to go, oh, I shouldn't have died there, and you're going to say that a lot. But you know what?
Right.
That's part of the process of improvement is being willing to take risks and make mistakes. The only safe place in Overwatch is the spawn room. The only safe place in Overwatch is in the spawn room. So it's all about educated risks where the risk is worth the reward. And as we pointed out earlier, when you're standing behind your tank, your reward is very low. And honestly, your risk is not negative either. It's still there. Like you've still died numerous times to random crap, whether it's the nano ram or the shadow or whatever. Like stuff just happens. Like you're not even safe behind your tank. So what I want you to do is I want you to think of a couple of goals here. Like let's aim for 2 or 3 that you can work on one at a time whenever you'd like, whenever you're playing Kiriko. How would you be working on these things? How would you structure some of the things that we talked about today?
Are you talking about just kind of like goals of something to do kind of like as I progress, just kind of day to day, or like a hard goal?
Let's go for a hard goal. Look, what did we talk about in the Jib? What did we talk about in Havana? What was the general principles that we spoke of?
I mean, positioning seemed to be the thing that was most harsh.
Sure.
You
So
know,
positioning and
basically
what
being
about your positioning?
being effective, making sure that I'm high most of the time. I don't necessarily have to be right behind our tank. I can be off to the side of the action, and especially if I can get to the side, I can start putting pressure from different areas if I'm not necessarily with the rest of the team.
Mm-hmm.
And if I get in trouble or if somebody else gets in trouble, worst case scenario, I can always teleport back. Trying to stay out of that like little kill box, especially like being right behind my tanks because I can get hit too. And then I mean, really just continuing to, not just heal bot and do other things as well.
Just heal bot. Look for opportunities for safe damage. Ult has range. Don't can drop it from your position or do it on main and take an angle. Experiment. Expect failure. Evolve. Right?
Yeah, I like that.
That's the way to think about it. It's all
Yeah,
right. It really is all right to make mistakes. It's all right. In fact, it's necessary. It's a necessary part of the process. And if you're too scared of doing so, then you're gonna really restrict your ability to improve it. And
right.
so I think we've seen, the funny thing is we've already proven that you have the capability of kind of problem solving positioning pretty good. I think I was pretty pleased with that, and you should be too.
Appreciate it.
What wasn't good was your execution of what you knew that I could do.
Okay.
And I think that's what you're going to need to push yourself with.
Okay.
Will I actually have the discipline to be able to implement what I know I can do? Because the most discouraging thing will be you're going to feel like this was the proper angle, but you're going to mess it up. You're going to miss your shots. You're going to teleport too late. You're going to screw up your Suzu. You're going to mistime it, like you'll take the angle way in front of your team. Your Kiriko is going to get your support's going to get voiced. Kiriko, what are you doing? Come back and heal your tank. Right? So you're going to have to develop some habits with this. That might mean muting people in team chat.
Yeah,
It might mean
probably.
taking some more breaks. It might be spending a little bit more time practicing slowing down your shots in Vaxa. It might be knowing what angles make sense. It might be paying. Now remember, we're asking to be a good team player, right? As in,
Yeah.
you still need to take angles where you are fighting at the same time as your team. But there's going to be some trial and error here.
Yeah.
There's going to be some trial and error here.
Yeah. And
Any
I think another
questions?
important thing.
No, go ahead.
Another important thing I feel like you definitely hit on was stop worrying so much about the tank.
Yes.
I mean, I think you were saying, while she's got some okay healing, there are other characters that can heal those tanks way better and easier. And
Yep.
they're probably not I think, like, I think we do more healing for the little guys anyway. So we
Yep.
can probably be more effective that way too.
Yep. Yep.
Any other
Yep.
questions? For the most part, I mean, I've got a lot to digest and kind of put into practice, so I'd love to see what I can do with that, and get to it. See what
Yeah, yeah,
happens.
yeah, yeah. Last thing I will say is like in regards to the tank thing,
Hmm.
the best thing that you could have done for your tank, in terms of the best thing you could do for your tank experience essentially is to split attention, right? Is to
Okay.
pull attention. Like when you're letting your tank be the punching bag, he is going to be the punching
Right.
bag, right? And so help him out. Help him out. All right.